Hey guys, so welcome back. It's Will from Forward Point Solutions here. And, just looking at the Cook Islands Trust here and the common situation we see where, people who own those crypto projects, XYZ, are using them. So, firstly, what even is the actual Cook Islands Trust? So, the Cook Islands Trust is a very potentially the gold standard of trust, right? Yes, you've got Jersey Trust. Yes, you've got Liechtenstein Foundations of the governance board, right? But at the end of the day, the Cook Islands Trust is the gold standard for asset protection and privacy, as well as taxation, right? So, it is a common law discretionary trust governed by the International Trust Act in 1984. And essentially, it's a self governing jurisdiction in free association with New Zealand, with its own laws, its own governance. Yes, it's an independent nation. And again, yes, it is also British as well. So it's designed specifically for international asset protection, not a domestic tax shelter. Something that people confuse a lot. But the main question of this video is, why is it used in such close correlation with crypto projects, crypto co-founders, founders, whatever? And again, it's because crypto businesses around the world are always facing, aggressive tax authorities that are trying to chase them, XYZ, civil litigation. Again, this is class action suits from token losses. Maybe a project went wrong. Again, Cook Islands is the gold standard for asset protection, privacy, XYZ. And again, with a regulatory overreach with the SEC, MICA, and the IRS, while running these, I mean, they're all high risk, right? At the end of the day, these are high risk crypto projects. We've seen a little bit less of them, but the space is still huge, absolutely huge. There you go. Launching meme coins, all of this. Again, cybercrime and extortion risk as well is huge in cryptocurrency. So the Cook Island Trust actually neutralizes a lot of these threats by moving ownership outside your own country, number one, preventing court enforcement from most foreign jurisdictions, if not all foreign jurisdictions, does not accept foreign court judgments, and creating a firewall between you and the sensitive assets such as the token treasury or the IP of a particular project, XYZ. So you might also be looking at asking, okay, you understand the Cook Islands Trust, you understand this rate of crypto, but what can actually be put inside a trust? How does it work, XYZ? So it's super simple, to be honest. Very simple. That's a very complex to set up, and obviously there's a lot of advisory that goes on right there. And again, if you obviously did or you are interested, please book a meeting with me, drop me an email, or we can have a chat about your objectives and see how you can work with Forward Point Solutions to actually meet those objectives, right? So let's go back to what can actually be put in one of these trusts, and that's a Cook Islands Trust. Now this can be cold wallets, multi-sig wallets, token treasury reserves. It's complete vast from property to private keys, and the private keys can be held by a trustee or subleased to a subsidiary that's over in Bermuda or BVI. We do see Bermuda very popular with crypto nowadays, or crypto friendly over in Bermuda. DAO IP rights, very common as well. Smart contracts, offshore operating companies as well, securities, real estate, fiat bank accounts, watches, for example. All of this can be put together in a trust. So typical crypto-friendly structure, when we actually look at a Cook Islands Trust, we see the Cook Islands Trust will typically own a Nevis or a BVI LLC, or even another Cook Islands holding company, right? So it likes to jump between all of the jurisdictions, so that increased asset protection. Yes, this does mean it comes with increased complexity, increased issues with banking, but again, that's what Forward Point Solutions is here for. We're able to present cases to banks that we work with very closely, and as long as we can clearly explain how it's all running, where the money's coming from, and the flow of funds, essentially to make sure it's not coming from sanctioned countries or going to sanctioned countries, and the AML and KYC, KYB all checks out, even KYT now, know your transaction, with a cross-chain analysis. As long as that all checks out, the bank should be happy to actually onboard you. Yes, you're going to see kind of a reluctance or not even a reply if you go ahead and email Butterfield and Guernsey, you're probably not going to get a reply. They're not even crypto friendly, anyways. But again, so the Cook Islands Trust would typically own, BVI LLC, Nevis LLC, and then from here it can hold a crypto wallet IP, an OTC service, or an actual exchange desk, right? Or its own license, maybe in Costa Rica, maybe in Lithuania, maybe in the UK, whatever it actually is. Now it uses an optional protector, so we do see it quite a lot. Not everyone has a protector. This could be the founder, or essentially he could be the protector could be an investment advisory role. Very common we see. Sometimes people don't want to be the settler of their own trust. They don't want to be the beneficiary for the first 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe they're just trying to grow their wealth in a big castle and a vault, right? And you can just act as the protector in an investment advisory, just to oversee all the operations to make sure the trustee is doing his job correctly, which he would be anyway. So this operates in a tax compliant, legally separated fashion, which is very key here. So using yourself as an investment advisor is very common in these structures, and this essentially gives the founder the separation from the actual liability of what's going on within that trust, hence the asset protection levels, robust tax planning options, and no single point of regulatory failure, which is very key there, So when we actually go into the benefits of these trusts, in the Cook Islands, foreign court judgments are not recognised. Lawsuits must be brought into the Cook Islands, which is extremely rare and very expensive. The statute of limitations, is once the assets are in the trust for 1 to 2 years, they're generally protected from those creditor claims. The trustee is offshore and independent. So the structure can't be pierced like a sham or like a sham trust or a nominee arrangement, right? There is a complete independence for that. And again, the statute limitations, once those assets sit in there for 1 to 2 years, you're pretty much in clean, right? So there's no Cook Islands taxes on income, capital gains, crypto, XYZ. It's complete tax neutral essentially. And it can legally move assets from your estate for estate planning and tax purposes, as long as it's done and structured correctly. Again, we work with a few legal counsels that can help you do this, so please do get in touch if you do, if this is something that does interest you, right? But key disclosures and warnings that you must kind of be aware about is it's not a way to hide assets from tax authorities, such as the US, the EU, the UK. It does require to be declaring beneficiaries from the foreign trust, right? So that's super interesting stuff. And again, you can't set up a trust in the Cook Islands, or pretty much any trust, while a claim is going on. So you cannot be, just having a claim and think, oh, let's move all of that. Would be a fraudulent transfer, right? So proper legal drafting is essential. If you drop me an email, I can send you over some templates of some drafts, XYZ, and professional trust fees ongoing. Again, it's not the cheapest thing to be running. You're looking at in excess of $20,000 a year, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on the complexity of what you're actually looking at. Banking and compliance must be layered correctly with a declared source of funds, flow of funds, all of this, which obviously we will go with you through. And obviously, before we even get started, we generally send over the banking pre-assessment form. So where you're looking at the funds coming from, what the volumes, what you're looking at, the currencies, all of this, because we clearly need to understand this. Typically we just see funds coming from the US LLCs, EU LLCs. Ireland, very common, a lot of IP over in Ireland. Also, having LLCs over, exempt company formations over in Cayman. That can be owned by a trust, and then that Cayman company could be receiving royalties from Sweden, from an iGaming business or something. Very common structure over there. But essentially, it's very useful, particularly in the crypto space, if you are building if you're building like a DAO and you want to safeguard the actual treasury from a regulatory attack. Number one, maybe the crypto founder, the actual founder, is seeking personal liability protection. It's a high net worth holder of crypto who wants legacy and lawsuit protection. You want to separate yourself from a protocol or token governance. Example, again, all crypto projects are high risk. Whoever says crypto is not high risk, or especially crypto projects, 100% high risk, right? So this would be a very, very good reason to do so. You want to pass crypto to high tiers of tax efficiency very securely, and you're in a high risk jurisdiction and want the geo separation of assets, right? But again, you're going to be making sure that you're not under any investigation or expect litigation soon. You think that it will hide money from the actual government. This is highly illegal. You can't be doing this. You don't have a clean tax reporting. This is going to get you flagged. You're going to come across many problems. You have to have clean criminal record, clean everything, right? If not, we're not going to work with you at all. And again, you can afford those fees that are going to be charged. In terms of if you're a US resident or maybe a citizen, there's those forms to be filing, the 3520, the 520A, I think it's called, or on your personal tax return in the UK or the EU, for example. In the US, obviously you have to file those 3520s. So interesting stuff there. And again, banks and crypto exchanges will still request, probably even more due diligence on the KYC, KYB, and KYT fronts, right, for the AML protocols and due diligence, what they have to do. Now it's much more complex. It's going to take the extra time horizons, right, which many people need to understand. The trustee will also require a lot of this information as well, and a legal memo and a compliance pack from yourself. And again, it's not completely anonymous, but it is the gold standard of being private, asset protected, secure. And again, it has to be transparent in some extent to actually onboard you within the banking infrastructure which you want to go into, right? Yes, a lot of private banks onboard trust structures, but if you're holding these crypto high-risk projects, they're going to be very reluctant to do that. So there's only a specific number of banks that are going to be allowing you to onboard that. Again, very hard to find. We know them here at 4 Point Solutions. We deal with them frequently. So it has to be a licensed trustee, not just a DIY shell company that's acting as a trustee, but you're secretly a trustee. That completely removes all of the asset protection, So, there has to be a legal counsel there doing the actual legal memos and structuring, and potentially the protecting that needs to be set up. Usually a Cook Islands Trust, I'd say, is best paired with, just thinking about it briefly, is Nevis, BVI, PTCs over in Cook Islands. Again, you can have discretionary trust maybe in Guernsey with a PTC over in the Cook Islands, then blend the two together. Again, you might like this complexity, you might not like it. You might want to lean towards somewhere like Jersey or a foundation in Liechtenstein. Again, I'll try and make some videos in the future about these, but very interesting structures. Can be very useful, good reasons and bad reasons, but you're not going to be onboarded if, it's obviously very obvious what it's being used for. So banks understand this, company formations and trust formations and fiduciary services understand this. Clearly, they're setting up these trusts every single day, right? So very key, looking at those aspects there. And again, if you did want to get in touch, I think I've spoken enough about it, and I've done a lot of other videos on different types of trust, different types of structures. Normally what people wouldn't put on YouTube, just putting it all on YouTube. It's all online kind of anyways, and putting it all together. So hopefully you guys can clearly understand this. So other than that, guys, I will see you in the next video. If you did want to go ahead and book a meeting with me, you could do. There should be the Zoom link down below. And over and out. I'll see you in the next video, guys.